basketball final.
Hello and welcome to this special edition Talking Basketball podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul. Hello.
And you might hear in the background something different to our usual start.
That's the music from the opening ceremony, Mark, if I'm not mistaken, from the 1972 Olympic Games.
Doesn't it sound like a kind of fairground ride?
Sounds
mixed
like I'm
with
at Disney.
I was going to say, it's kind of like, you know, when the beginning of the films that you used to get, and there would be like whatever it is, and like not Looney Tunes, or you're watching Dumbo or something like that, and it's the Munich or Olympics. But if you think this is in Munich, you sort of go, okay, it sounds like a German brass band, but at the same time, it could be the beginning of Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
You know, when they have the old ones, they have all those things coming up at the beginning credits before anything starts. Like a John Williams thing. So it's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, look, Mark, we're here today because you said you did not know what happened in the controversial 1972 Olympic basketball men's final.
I would like to know
You're
more.
a disgrace.
Thank you.
You're an absolute disgrace.
Can I just say, when I see an opening ceremony, this is how I think of an opening ceremony. Not a bunch of people on the boats travelling down like Paris did. But at the same time, that was unique. So I respect that. But I always just think of them walking around the track, waving a flag.
That was unique, but we're now in Munich.
Oh, that was awful.
Try to get there. Right, Munich, Mark.
Munich.
We are at the Olympics in 1972.
Yes, sir.
And you have got America taking on the Russians.
Yep.
In the Olympics men's basketball final.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard about it, but I don't really know about,
Well,
I know about the very poignant part, but I don't know about all of the game.
Let's do it.
Let's frame it.
I'm not going to go into the full details
What
of the
socks
game.
were they wearing?
I have no idea. You want me to? I can break down every single player if you want. Right, at half time.
Break them.
At half time. Look, Russia weren't a bad team. They weren't a bad team, and they were always trying to beat the Americans, and the Americans were always going out there. From what I understand, it was quite young players, like college players, about to move on. But at half time, the Russians were winning 26-21. Just to put that in perspective, okay? Playing for the gold medal. Now, I'm not going to go into any more of the game, Mark, other than the last 20 seconds, because that's where the controversy is. So the score is Russia 49, America 48. America are losing by 1 point.
Oh, okay.
And there's like 10 seconds left in the game. Now, absolute legend Doug Collins. I remembered his name this time because last time some of our listeners, I know I said Phil Collins, and a lot of our listeners sent me pictures of Phil Collins, which is lovely. I appreciate that.
Great drummer.
There was a few people who sent me a picture of Phil Collins in one side and Doug Collins in the other. They went, on the left is Phil, on the right is Doug. Got it. So anyway, Doug Collins was playing for the USA. Now, where are we going to start? Down by one. They need to get a steal. Okay? And it was Doug Collins who got the steal. I'm just trying to find out. I wrote down how many seconds he did it. Oh, it was 7 seconds left to play. 7 seconds on the clock. Doug Collins stole the ball from Alexander Belov's full court cross pass.
Okay.
And he catches it on the half court. He charges towards the basket. He goes up. And he's not just fouled hard. This guy, Zurab, I mean, I'm going to butcher some of these Russian names, so I apologize to our
do it in the voice
comrade listeners.
Do it in the voice of Ivan Drago.
Zurab Zokantilidvlich.
Yeah, I like it. That's all right. It's commendable.
Anyway, That guy, he fouls him hard. He doesn't just foul him. He looks like he tries to decapitate him. And Doug Collins falls down. Do you know when you
foul.
do you know? Yeah, it's not even that. You watch it and go, Jesus, is he getting up? It's that kind of foul. So as he drives to the basket, he doesn't make the basket, but he clearly gets fouled. The referees call the foul. Correct call. He gets knocked down. So Collins is awarded 2 free throws. And this is where the controversy starts. Okay? So I'm going to carry on going with what's happening with the gameplay. And I'm going to mark, our listeners can't see this, but I'm going to mark on this paper here from in front of Mark.
Yes.
Stars where there's questions. Yeah?
Is that underneath that phallus symbol that you've drawn?
What are you talking about? Anyway, right. So Collins hits the first free throw. The score is 49-49. It's a tied game. He has his second free throw coming up. As Collins lifts the ball, he gets given the ball. As he lifts the ball to begin his shooting motion to take his second free throw, the horn on the scorer's table, the bloody score table officials, Jesus, they always ruin it, don't they? The horn on the table official sounds as he's shooting, right? And this marks...
I'm sure it's purely accident.
This marks a beginning of a chain of events that leaves the last 3 seconds of this final in probably the all-time top controversial moment in basketball history.
Is it more controversial than if Reggie and Michael got push off?
What? Right. The ref, Doug Collins shoots.
Yep.
He carries on his motion. It goes in. The score is 50-49.
Yep.
America are up by 1 point. They have taken the lead for the first time in this half, in the second half.
Okay, yeah.
3 seconds left on the clock.
Oof.
Right? Lead referee. So, I don't know if you know, so you always have one referee who's who's more senior.
Yep.
I can't remember what you call it nowadays.
The boss.
I think you got a ref and
Do they call each other like number one?
No,
number 2.
it's
Good evening, number 1.
I can't remember what they used to
Hello,
put you down
2.
as, but one would be the referee and one would be the official. I can't remember the actual wording of it, but
throw me a freaking bone here.
whoever
the
is the referee at the top of the list,
yep,
they're the lead referee.
Okay.
So normally, and look, when I refed, I didn't ref at a significantly high level at all, so I can't comment on when you have 2 referees at the same ability. I can't comment what happens in those huddles.
Yeah.
But dominantly, the lead referee will take charge of certain situations and be like, yeah, this is what I saw. And
then the others are up to either challenge him or just go, oh yeah, fine.
But from my experience with referees, the lead referee is usually like, yeah, this is it and this is what we're doing. And there's very little you're going to say to change their mind. But I don't know. The thing I would say with this, when people look back at it, people have to consider that basketball rules were different to they are nowadays. Okay?
There was no 3.9.
There's certain regulation things that have to happen or that don't happen anymore. So that statement will be relevant in a minute. Okay. The lead referee, Renato Rigetto. Where is he from?
I mean, you could...
Brazil. He's a Brazilian referee.
Yeah, I was going to say there's definitely...
He turned away from the free throw attempt upon hearing the horn.
Okay.
But he failed to stop Doug Collins from shooting. Collins, obviously, like I said, he never broke his shooting motion, continued with the second free throw, scoring, put the US ahead 50-49.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, dear. This is where it explodes. Right. I will say this is the first round. This is number 1 of screw-ups. Okay?
Okay.
So this is the first inbounds play. Immediately following Doug Collins' second free throw, obviously the ball is still live under the rules at the time. So they grab the ball, take it out the baseline, and inbound the ball.
Okay.
To play. Okay? Are you watching this as I'm saying this?
No, not at all.
Okay. You should do. You should. It'll make more sense.
No.
Anyway, there is a key player in this, which is the Soviet assistant head coach called Sergei Baskin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when that shot goes in and the Soviets start to play, he charges out of his designated bench area, screaming at the scorer's table. And he's saying the head coach at the time for the Soviets, who was called Vladimir Konstrashin, again, apologies if I butchered that, he has called a timeout. And what should have happened if they had called a timeout
based on their rules or our
based
rules?
on current rules.
Current rules.
Sorry, based on the rules at the time. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If they called a timeout,
Yeah.
Doug Collins shouldn't have been allowed to shoot the second free throw, and they had their timeout between the two free throw shots.
Yep.
Okay? And at that point, if that was done, then they could make substitutions, whatever they needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. This is all relevant. However, the shot was allowed to go up, and then the Soviets bring the ball in play.
Okay.
They bring the ball down the right-hand side of the court. When they get roughly to the halfway line, there is so much kicking off by the scorer's table with especially the assistant coach, Soviet assistant coach, that the referee stops the play. Just stops it. Blows the whistle and stops everything. The game clock is actually stopped with a second left. Okay?
Yeah, so I think I've seen it.
This is a massive screw up.
I've seen it around that point.
This is a massive screw up. When the players stopped, the Soviets then going on saying, hang on, we called a timeout. And I think, I could be wrong, I think like nowadays you turn around, someone goes to the table and says, timeout, please.
Yeah.
I think at this Olympics game, there was a button or something that someone had to press.
Okay, they've done like it automated it of some way, but
something like
someone
that
wasn't looking at it.
Is what I heard. Is what I've heard or read somewhere. There's a button or something like that. That's what the Soviets are saying. And they were like, no, we pressed that button. And they all kick off. Yeah?
Yeah.
So this is really important because the scorer table has now seen this and gone, trying to give them their timeout, but did it come too late? Once that ball gets given to Doug Collins, too late.
So is that the rule then? If the ball's given to him,
once Doug Collins gets the ball,
yeah,
effectively,
so a ref can't go, hold on, stop and pick it up. And
I can't just talk about in that time what a referee would have done.
No, I know. I'm
once
just saying.
He's done it, but don't forget, he is in the motion of shooting. So he the ball is coming up.
Oh yeah, so he's had the ball already.
So he's
10
not
seconds,
like,
hasn't he?
If he had the ball and he bounced it, and the referee would give it back.
That's what I mean.
Maybe you'd go, oh, okay.
Yeah. No, not at that point.
He is in the motion of his shot.
Oh yeah, no, it's gone.
And
Too
then
late.
he shoots.
Too late.
So
Controversy over. Too late.
The referee stopped the game with a second left.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, you would have to argue, and I'm looking at this right down the middle for the Americans and the Soviets. Yeah. If they did press the button, then the scorer's table has made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
If they stopped it before he went to his motion, I'd go, okay, yeah, give them the timeout. That seems fair. Once Doug Collins has got that ball and he's going for his free throw, the ball is now live.
Yeah, once the ball's relinquished to him, that's it, it's live.
And now the Russians are coming up to court. Do I say Russians or Soviets in 72?
70 Soviets.
Soviets. So the Soviets are now coming up the court. Yeah?
Yeah.
Ref can't stop the game. Yeah. They were supposed to have a timeout 2 seconds ago, but you've already started playing. So he just stops to play.
Okay. Just from what you're saying there.
This is controversy 1, Mark.
Yeah, I know. So just on that basis there, you said like the refs kicking off and the coaches are kicking off, etc. I look at that immediately as you've said many times before, the coaches can manipulate the way in which games can be played.
Definitely. That's why they should get a gold medal.
And that's why, no, they shouldn't get a medal. But they can manipulate that state of play and the way that they do things. And that sounds like a case of if they pressed the button or they didn't, no one will ever know because we haven't got a timestamp. If there's a button on the timestamp when it's pressed and that's timed in with the shot clock, then you can say, yes, they in the same way they went back and they look at a buzzer beater and they'll say, did it leave their hand? Rewind the video. Yes, it did. Yeah, it didn't before the lights flash. That's it, In this case, you can't do that. So it's too subjective. It sounds to me a lot more like not as in manipulating the situation, but trying to do anything, especially if you're down by 1, you do have that ability to manipulate the situation. If the ball's been live and given live, they should already be at the bench screaming at that point. So I don't know.
Okay, right. I'm going to say something in favour of the Soviets now.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I said about this button?
Yeah.
Okay, just look this up. By the rules at the time, that's what's difficult about it because you've got to do it by the rules at the time.
Yeah.
A timeout could be requested either by informing the scorer's table directly or by pressing a button of an electric device that would illuminate a light bulb by the scorer's table. According to the Soviets, he requested the timeout by pressing the button.
Yeah.
And they've looked back at video. This is the Soviets have looked back. Don't forget.
Can you take a timeout when someone else is shooting?
Yeah, this is where I'm. So he's at the rules of the time where you can call a timeout.
Yeah.
And you can choose whether to have it before both free throws or between the 2 free throws. Okay. So what the head coach was saying was, I pressed a button. And he said the scorer's table looked over to me and nodded. And one of the referees turns around at the same time. And so that's what he was saying. There was acknowledgement that it should have gone. So, yeah.
Oh, well, fair enough then. He's done what he's supposed to do.
So, again, we've learned in basketball that table officials are beyond reproach. They never make mistakes.
They're a law unto themselves. They do what they want.
So, with regard to whether he actually made a timeout properly or not with the signal, he claimed that he saw it later in a film of the events, and it said in this film that no one else has seen that you can see the light bulb illuminating. Now they should bring that out because that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So what happened next was his choice he was saying, I was trying to take it between the 2 free throws.
Yep.
He also said the officials at the scorer's table wanted to give him the timeout before the first 3 throw, and he then refused. He said, no, I want it in between. So it's potential that when he went, no, I want it in between, that they misunderstood and went, he doesn't want a timeout. And then they went, no, he does want a timeout. When the assistant coach stood up.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, look, if you are in those positions, you should be speaking clearly, not relying on buttons. You should be standing at that table going,
timeout.
Give me one.
Second free throw.
Exactly. You should, and it doesn't, if you're going to games, it doesn't matter what language it's going to be, everyone will speak or understand someone pointing at them shouting the word timeout. That doesn't matter because it's basketball. That's the nature of the game.
Yeah.
So in that instance, if you say, "Oh, we pressed a button and we'll come right," it's like, no, you wouldn't. You'd be if it's that short, if it's got that much time left in the whole game, and it's coming down to those points. I don't know any coach on the planet that would be sat down on a bench at that point. They would be hovering about as close to the court as they physically could get.
Well, the table official has spoken on this as well.
Oh, good.
And they said that the Soviet coaches mishandled the situation, claiming that they think they mishandled the signaling device, probably hit it or something. I don't know where. There's conjecture there, and were therefore late in pressing the button. So the table official saying he was late pressing it. Again, that's really important because if you've missed your opportunity to call it, the ball's live. Mark, we're still on version 1 of the events here of what happens. This is inbound play 1.
Right. Yeah.
There's 3.
Okay.
Spoiler alert. So from the American perspective, they questioned that there was an actual timeout attempt made altogether. That's what it's saying.
Okay.
But the unexpected horn that did sound as Doug Collins was shooting the second free throw may have happened because the table official had recognised that the Soviets' timeout request came in right at the last moment and they tried to do it. So there's that sounds the most realistic one to me, that the table official made a mistake, tried to quickly recover, too late.
It's crunch time. There's 3 things happening at the same time and they're human. That's it. And if you're then having to look at do you know what it reminds me of? It's going to sound really silly. I went to an auction last year and they were taking bids online as well as on the phone and people in the room. And at one point, the auctioneer was like, genuinely, I'm lost. I don't know where we are because the amount of information that people kept bidding on and coming in, he couldn't say the numbers fast enough. And this is just for an auction for a thing, you know? So you've got all of this happening, crunch time with under 10 seconds left. Yeah, that's when you don't want to be a table official.
Yeah. Well, with table officiating now, there's I was going to bring it on the show actually. It's an electric scorebook. Yep. So technology innovation on the actual scorers table makes it a lot easier.
This is 1972. They might have had an abacus.
They would have had one of those score sheets. But that's really interesting.
They have the little flip chart. They just flipped over.
The table officials could be doing something, and that could, by them doing that, does the score table, the score on the board.
Oh God.
Innovation. Anyway, where did I get to? So the Americans have argued that regardless of whether a timeout had been missed or not, that's got nothing to do with them and what happened on the game because the ball went live when Collins let it go.
Agreed.
As such, technically, a technical foul should have been given to the Soviets for their assistant coach coming out of the designated bench area that they used to have during live play. He doesn't just come out, he comes out and like on the scorer's table. He's really making a scene.
Oh, agreed then. Yeah. If that's the case, you can't have one without the other. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah. Again, I feel for the Soviets a little bit if they went to make the timeout. If that's legit and a table official has made a mistake, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Especially if it's at the Olympics. It's Final. Not like down round at Fratton and you're doing a little 5-on-5 mini tournament. Like, oh, sorry guys, maybe I miscalled that. No, it's the Olympics final.
Yeah, well, so you're talking about, I mean, look, this is freaking 50 years ago. I don't know how many table officials there were. However, the official scorebook does not have a timeout requested by the Soviets in the last 3 seconds.
Oh no!
So this is probably someone on the scoreboard. So he's saying, why would you award a timeout? There's further indications that no timeout was officially granted to the Soviets during existing TV footage of the game, which has the scoreboard indicating each time the Soviets had one timeout remaining.
Hold on. Question. You just used the word granted there.
Did I? What did I say?
You said about a timeout being granted, right? Is that what it is? Is that the rule that you request a timeout, but it gets granted? Because when people say a timeout, it's all related to the state of play that's going on. Because you can say to the ref, can't you? Yeah, I want a timeout, please. The ref won't give you a timeout until you're able to have a timeout. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, they need to be aware.
Well, they need to be aware, but they don't. You don't just go, "Hey, ref, I want a timeout," and they go, "There you go, timeout." Because there's only certain times during a possession that you can have the timeout. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. They had to have the timeout
so that's
before
what I'm
the free
saying.
throws or between them.
That's what I'm saying. I think that word "granted" is actually really powerful because you can go, "Yeah, you can request all you want, mate," but if you're not, that's not a moment you're allowed to have the timeout. You can moan all you like.
Don't forget, this happens so quick.
I don't care.
The table officials
The
gone,
devil's in the details.
As he shot, it's gone in. The Russians are going up. It must have been a nightmare for the ref because he's looking, going, and they're going, timeout, timeout. The coach is coming on the court. The players go in, and he's just gone, stop everything.
Love it.
Stop everything.
I bet they loved that.
Oh, dear. I bet there's certain referees would love to have been them. So, yeah.
Yeah, that word granted just really stuck with me. That was all. I just think it's interesting. Like you say, it is the refs who make the decision when the timeout actually gets called, not the table.
Okay, well, this is the key bit. So, Bashkin, that's the assistant coach
Yes.
for the Soviets. Although his actions had caused the game to be stopped with a second left on the clock, the officials decided neither to resume play from that point nor to give a technical foul against him for stopping the play. They instead decided to wipe out the play altogether and say, right, that nothing just happened there. And they ruled that the entire inbound sequence would be replayed from the point immediately following the second free throw. And thus, the clock gets reset back to 3 seconds.
Yes.
So he's gone, oh, man. I think the best thing for the referees was the game, just those 3 seconds go and the score stays the same.
Yeah.
They'd go, okay, cool. I think, yeah. Anyway, controversy comes. Where did I get to? So they wipe the clock.
And so they've now gone. America are 1 up. Russia have the ball to inbound, and there's 3 seconds left. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, there's a guy in the crowd. I don't know his first name. We're just trying to look for it.
Bob
Jones is his surname.
Bob.
He had a contentious relationship with American basketball officials for a number of years. He came down from the stands to the court to contribute to the officials' ruling. This is some guys, come down. Right, hang on now. And he insisted upon the complete replay of the final 3 seconds. And according to Tensher, the Brazilian referee had initially declared that the play would resume with 1 second left. This Jones comes down and overrules it.
He just says...
Jones later acknowledged that under the Olympic regulations, he had no authority to make rulings about a game in progress, though he maintained that resetting the clock was the correct course of action.
Okay. So he had actually no... Yeah, okay. So he was obviously someone that everyone went...
Imagine Adam Silver coming down in NBA Finals Game 7.
Wow.
No. Give it... LeBron wanted a timeout there. Give it to him. Reset the clock back to 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Give LeBron 2 free throws.
Wow. Yeah. That's unique. I do love it where you can get lost in your own notes. It's quite funny.
There's a guy called Ed
Ed, Big Ed.
Steins or Steins. In his basketball career, he was president of US Basketball, and he was a member of FIBA's technical committee. He claimed years and years and years after the game that Jones privately confided that with the clock reset, still leaving only 3 seconds of play, he had not expected the Soviets, they would actually score in that time. So this guy's come down and gone, no, okay, cool. Right. So all that drama. So from an American perspective, and I don't know the answer to this, from an American perspective, this should be a technical foul on the assistant head coach of the Soviets. And I don't know, and this I don't know 1972 rulings, what the action would be. Either way, it's probable that the Americans are going to go up by more or get the ball with 3 seconds
I would
left.
have thought so, yeah. Halfway line ball.
So, Mark.
Just get possession.
I mean, I don't know how many asterisks I need to write on all of that. But we've only got, that's the first inbound play.
Yep.
So, second inbound play now. So this is, they've gone back to the baseline.
Yes.
And they've just gone 3 seconds on the clock. Let's go. So all the players were brought back into position for the second inbound play. And this is a really valid point. I've got the team sheet here. There is one of the players, man, this is going to be a hard one to say. One of their players who was on the court at the time of the first incident was called
Gary.
Hang on, I'll do it. Alzan Zumok Hamidov.
Okay.
He didn't come back into the game.
Big Al.
So they didn't give them the timeout. They just reset.
Okay.
However, in all of this controversy, go back and look at it. You can see the head coach telling them what to do.
Okay.
So he does get his timeout. The head coach only needs two things, doesn't he?
He just needs to communicate and stop the play.
So instead of Zalmuk Hamidov coming into the game, he brings a guy in called Kondrashin. So he substitutes him in, even though they're not allowed to sub. So potentially, I'm going to put another mark here, Mark. There's another technical foul offence.
Okay.
Now, this guy called... Oh, where is he on the team sheet? Where is he?
But you've got to be thinking at this point, the refs and everyone are thinking...
Adensko. That's who comes in.
So they're all probably thinking at this point, just get this game over with.
Yeah, sorry, I said the wrong name. It's Adensko comes in to replace this guy. Now, this is really important because Adensko, at the time, played for Moscow.
Okay.
He also, another player who played for Moscow was their big man center, Alexander Belov.
Okay.
So Adensko and Belov play together. And a lot of the play that the Russians were doing in this Olympics went through those guys who played at for Moscow.
Oh, okay.
What is it? Moscow, CSKA Moscow.
Yes.
They both played for them.
Oh, okay. Big club.
And at some point, the coach has gone, Adesko, get the ball, launch it full court to Belov, go for it.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what you might have seen. This, hang on, the bit you've seen on TV, we haven't even got to yet.
No, yeah, I know which bit it.
So, those two players had run that successfully at Moscow in the Moscow team in the preceding year, and that actually claimed them the Soviet championship. Under Olympic rules, substitutions were not allowed without granting of a timeout. Again, timeout wasn't granted, subs not allowed. The referee resumed the game, failing to even notice that there was an issue. And also, he didn't notice that the clock operator, Andrei Chopard, was still working on getting the game clock set to 3 seconds.
Good old Andre. Old Chopard showing the way.
Jeez. The ball was given to Adensko to start the play with the scoreboard clock actually showing 50 seconds remaining.
Oh, God.
I'm going to put another little mark there, Mark. Adensko was defended at the time by an American guy called Tom McMillan. He was 6'11", big guy, and he was being very aggressive on the inbounds attempt, making it very difficult. This is really important. And he made it really difficult for the inbound passer, Adensko, to make that pass into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got a 6'11" guy who's being aggressive right in your face, which is what he was doing.
Yeah, it's going to slow you down, isn't it?
I mean, I don't know what the rules were at that time, but if that happened nowadays, you just step back. If you're the inbound passer, you would step back. They can't cross the line. You can go back.
Yeah, I don't know what it is now.
It's
not what it is now, but what it is then.
He couldn't inbound. He couldn't get the ball to Beloff. He couldn't do that full court pass.
Yeah.
So he ultimately, he made the decision to do a shorter pass to one of his teammates called Porlaskas.
Yeah.
Porlaskas, I think. He was still in the backcourt. He immediately tried to pass it to Beloff at the other end of the court. The horn sounded with the pass going barely out of Porlaskas' hand. The pass missed its mark and tipped off the backboard and went out of bounds. And the players, the announcers, the television broadcast, and the majority of the world thought the game was over. Everyone in the arena thought the game was over as they heard the horn.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I wonder how many seconds were left on the clock when that horn sounded. Oh.
I've stayed away perfectly, so I know nothing. So I am fresh to this.
People came onto the court. US began celebrating.
Okay.
Of their 1-point victory, apparently.
They're good at celebrating close victories.
I don't know who said this, but I swear I either watched a documentary on this or I heard someone on the radio. One of the players said that he just won a gold medal. He went down, sat down on the bench and unlaced his shoes. That's really important as a player, isn't it? So he's unlaced his shoes and he's taken his shoes off.
Oh, it's done. Yeah, game over.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to that. Where do we get to? So our man, our favourite guy from the stands, Jones, he's still involved. This is like a Mick Byrne moment, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It's literally as you said that, it's like, yeah, I can see how it is.
Like coming down going, no, that's a foul.
I want my 5 bits of fame and I want to get on the telly.
So Jones was still involved and the officials once again ordered the court to be cleared and the players to be brought back into position, the clock to be reset and the final 3 seconds to be replayed.
Again.
The public speaker announced, please go out. There are another 3 seconds left. The US team are furious, going, what are you talking about? They're like, hang on, you're about to try and deny us a victory here and allow them a third inbounds play. The US, and this is important, the US coaches briefly considered declaring walking off the court.
Yeah, you would.
Their worry, and it was head coach Henry Iber, he was worried that by doing it, it would leave the US team vulnerable to a Soviet appeal, which might lead a ruling that they had forfeited the game.
Yeah. No, I'd even just looking at that now, you go, if they walk off, it's forfeit. If the fact that someone who's in position of power, i.e. this ref apparently, it sounds like he wasn't, but he's the one who's calling exactly what's going on at the end of the day. It's his circus and everyone else, the monkeys run around it.
Well, our friend comes back into it.
Oh,
Assistant coach for the Americans at the time was a guy called John Bach. Or Bach. I don't know. Bach. B-A-C-H. Bach. Anyway, he made a statement once that our friend from the stands, Jones, threatened him directly with if you forfeit and your team does not report back to the floor, you've lost your medal. So he's threatening them. You go back to the floor, I'm going to give the gold to them. You love this guy Jones, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sounds like a real piece of work.
The Americans finally decide to comply with the officials, but Iber reportedly told his coaching staff, "I don't want to lose this game later tonight sitting on my butt." That's the famous quote.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it.
There's a lot of conjecture, especially from commentators at the time, who consider that decision could have cost Americans the game. They're saying if you walked off, they think you would have got the gold. And that Jones, when it went to an Olympic committee, it would have been like, no, hang on, what's going on here? Yeah, they were saying they should have walked off.
Oh.
But look, hindsight and all that, they feel it would have guaranteed them victory because the play had happened.
Twice. Yeah, as well. Yeah.
But that didn't happen. The assumption is largely based on FIBA officials' presumed hesitancy to sanction the US team had such a scenario indeed materialized. So that's what they were worried about. So this is what I don't get.
Okay.
What is the official reasoning for having a third inbound play? My only thing is that there was 50 seconds on the score table, on the scoreboard.
Yeah, there was an error. You could actually say there was an officiating error.
So that someone's gone 50, 49, 48.
Yeah, officiating error.
These table officials, Mark, are screwing up the game, aren't they?
Well, I don't think this will be the first or last time that's happened.
And now we're back. Third inbound play.
Third inbound play with 3 seconds left.
3 seconds left. And now, just going back to what I said previously, again, I don't know the player and I can't verify it, but I swear to God, I have heard one of those American players say, I untied my shoes and I just went out. I didn't even tie my shoes out.
Yeah.
It was like, no, go. He goes, I just walked out.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big deal. That's like going out with flip-flops on.
Look, 1972, they weren't wearing the shoes that we're wearing now. They weren't wearing the shoes Jordan was wearing in 84 even, the Jordan 1s. They were wearing ASICs. They were wearing Converse All-Stars. They were wearing shoes that were hard on your feet. And so if you can just undo we all know what it's like. You've had a run or anything. You take that shoe off and your foot goes, oh.
Yeah.
Those shoes that they had on, it'd be like playing in wellies. So, yeah, I can't imagine what that'd feel like.
Well, this is the famous play that everyone sees.
Yeah.
So this is now the third inbound. They've gone back to the the Soviets' baseline.
Yep.
And Adensko has got the ball again.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the bit that really irritates me. As a player, this irritates the hell out of me. And this is where refs are a-holes.
You've had it in for anyone who's an official today.
Yeah. Look, and you can go watch the video footage and you will see exactly what I'm talking about.
Go listen to Paul's other one we did today on the Olympics.
Last
the
Olympics,
finals,
knockout.
Final Olympics.
Finals Olympics.
Yeah, he's got some fresh opinions about refs.
You're a referee. Come and talk to us about it. Talk to us about it.
I bet they'd love to.
Yeah. So anyway, there's Adensko, the guy from Moscow playing for the Soviets. He comes in again. He's trying to get the ball to Belov, full court pass. Don't forget, you had McMillian, the American guy, 6'11", right in front of him, being aggressive, and he couldn't get that pass, so he did a shorter pass.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. This is the bit that pisses me off, irritates the hell out of me. Go and watch the footage. The official, his name is Rabadijan. He's from Bulgaria.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how friendly were the Bulgarians with the Russians at this time? I don't know.
So, I'd imagine.
Anyway, he prepared to put the ball into play. So imagine he's holding the ball and he's about to hand it off, make the pass to the Soviet Adesko to hand it in.
Yep.
Watch the footage. If you don't believe me, watch the footage. This referee makes a huge mistake. He waves off McMillan and tells him to get back.
Yeah.
He tells him to get back.
Yeah.
Why the hell is a referee doing that? Even in 1972, why is a referee saying, no, you can't? You're basically saying, go away, you can't guard him.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a mark on this. I'm going to put 2 stars by that because that's the one that irritates me the most out of all of this.
It's like your therapy
Go
session.
back. Like, look, we're going to watch this after. We're going to watch it in real play afterwards and you can talk it through. McMillan, the 6'11" American, he responds and moves back. He moves several feet away, and that gives Adensko a clear view and an unobstructed view, more importantly, and path to throw a long pass down to his fellow Soviet and his fellow CSKA Moscow teammate that they've been doing it all season, who's under the basket, Belov. McMillan, the American, later said that if the Bulgarian referee, I'm going to say that because I can't say his name, he had instructed him to go back away from Adensko. Millen said that despite the fact that there was no rule which would require him to do so, he decided to comply, fearing that if he didn't, the referee would give him a technical foul.
Okay. Clutching at that one, but yeah.
I can't say his name. The Bulgarian referee has denied that he has made the gesture. He has denied that his gesture was intended to instruct McMillan to back away from Adensko. I'm going to mark that as well.
That's a lie. Even I've seen that.
That's bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah.
In any event, no matter what, the McMillan repositioning left no American defender to challenge that pass.
Okay.
And this guy was a good passer. Unlike in the previous play, where he'd forced him to make a short pass, Adensko now had a clear view, threw the ball the full length of the court towards Belov.
Yep.
Adensko, the guy who just inbounded the ball, would later confirm that McMillan backing away made it easy for him to throw the long pass down court. In the Soviet Union, this pass is known as the golden pass.
Nice. I like that. That's good.
They call it the golden pass. This is like...
I like that.
This is like Maradona in the hand of God, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay, so the images that you now see that have been played on TV all around the world have led to the question of whether Adensko might have stepped on the line as well. I'm going to put another asterisk. So as he passes the ball, look at his feet. There is potential evidence that he stepped on the line as he's made a pass.
Okay. Yep.
Another one. I mean, look, I'll go, and we'll keep going. We'll keep going. When you go back and look at how many errors there are, you just think, man, the Americans didn't just get unlucky. They were like, this was like the Soviets winning the lottery 3 weeks in a row.
Yep. I can see that.
So potentially there was a violation on the pass, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Again, if that would have happened, stepped out, it should be the Americans' ball, baseline in the Soviets' backcourt.
Okay.
Adensko's full pass came down. Belov, the Soviet, Kevin Joyce, and Jim Forbes all leapt for the ball near the basket. It looks weird on TV as well. Belov caught the ball in the air, and as the 3 men landed, Joyce's momentum carried him and just flies out of bounds. Forbes came down off balance and falls to the floor beneath the basket. Belov just then gathers himself and he's got an open layup. an uncontested layup, scoring the winning point as the horn sounded for the last time. They then celebrate on the court. Belov is mobbed by the Soviet teammates who all jump on top of him in celebration. The American coaches and players argued with the game officials for several minutes to no avail, and the Soviets were declared the winners, winning the game 51-50. Oh dear.
I mean, it's a bit much, isn't it? That's the only way I can explain it. I'd say it like it's just a lot going on, isn't it? Really?
Really interestingly, well, it's more nerdy, I think. There are accounts that the Americans refused to sign the score sheet, which is really important.
Oh, okay.
Because that allowed them to contest.
Oh, okay.
And the US Olympic Basketball Committee chairman, Summers, he filed a detailed process which basically just went into everything that we've talked about for the last 50 minutes.
And I assume because of that, it's like, well, there's your medals. Done. So
it was heard by FIBA's 5-member jury of appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Moles and Summers contended that the final 3 seconds of the 40-minute game were consumed by the 2 seconds that elapsed on the first inbounds play and the 1 second that elapsed on the second play, thus making the legal end of the game at the point that the United States were up 50-49. However, I think there's a lot more they can contest there. The potential technical fouls, stepping on the line. There's a lot more. They the referee pushing him off. That's just weird. The protests asserted that allowing a third inbound play with a clock reset of 3 seconds brought the total elapsed time to 40 minutes and 3 seconds in violation of FIBA rules, which specified the game had to be 40 minutes. Jury ultimately voted down the process and awarded the gold medals to the Soviet team. At the ensuing press conference, Moles engaged in an animated argument with the jury's chairman, Hep of Hungary, about the propriety of resetting the clock to 3 seconds. Mental, innit? Under FIBA rules, the United States won, is what he was saying.
It just sounds like chaos, doesn't it, really? And very odd. Very, very odd that it's allowed to get to that state.
It's all certain people in boardrooms, all hushed under carpet. So when they announced a verdict, Hep steadfastly refused to provide any specifics of the vote count, acknowledging that only the decision was not unanimous. So he wouldn't say who did what and what it was. Was it 4-1, 3-2? But he said 3 of the 5 jury members, including Hep from the Soviet Union, they believe it was 3-2. But they think because of those members, maybe the Cold War situation came into play here more than anything else.
Well, yeah, that's the only bit that I've got here about just framing that really more than anything else. Because some people don't understand the sort of what the Cold War is really. So from 1947, after the World War had finished, World War II, right up until 1991, the Cold War was basically a geopolitical thing between America and, at the time, what some people would know as Russia, but actually it was way bigger than that. It was the Soviet Union. And because of the nature of how far-reaching everything was, everyone knows Rocky, the films, and they had Ivan Drago, we mentioned it earlier, and how they painted the USSR versus America. They had it in ice hockey, they've had it in other things. So there was a huge bit. But in the Americans had actually had 63-0 in terms of their run for winning Olympic Games.
At that point,
63-0 was their Olympic record for playing basketball right up until they went into the final against USSR. So it's fair to say the USA was pretty dominant. And it was also a point that their record meant that since the 1952 tournament, the Soviet team had challenged the Americans, winning silver in 52, 56, 60, 64, and they got a bronze in 1968. So in the last
They're up there, aren't they?
Oh yes, they're a great team. So that's the thing. They are a great team. There's no question about it. But what's really funny is that for like four of the previous 5 Olympics, they've been playing them in the final every single time. So that at this point, it's personal. And even in the world tournaments and everything, they even went as far as saying that they did believe the Cold War made an impact. But moreover, it was relating to how the parties were associated, because it was the 50th anniversary of the Soviet Union that year. And the goal was that the USSR wanted to win 50 medals, and this would allow them to win the 50 gold medals. And there's all this sort of conjecture. I mean, there's things up on Wiki and all these sort of stuff, which is always fascinating and always worth a giggle, isn't it? Because the reality is none of us will ever know. But still, it's pretty mental to think that it was only the only thing outside the Olympics, the star, was that the Soviets actually defeated the US in the FIBA World Championship in 59 and 1963. So they had actually defeated them at some point outside the Olympics. But other than that, it was pretty much all USA.
Yeah. Well, look.
So
it was going to be
in terms of them, in terms of it being a heated game, it's an Olympic final, always going to be heated. 2, the Cold War's happening.
History.
Yeah. So that is just, it is what it is. And then 3, they're meeting the team that has beaten them in the last 4 Olympic, or right over the last 5 Olympics they've won. And 4 of those finals, they were playing the same. So they're like, we need to kick them about now. This is getting silly. So there was definitely blood to be spilt. Well,
let me end this by concluding that there's rumours that the 5-panel jury, that some of them feared retribution from Jones, the guy who came down from the stairs. From the stands, were they to have deemed his decision regarding the Gamecock to be incorrect. No matter what, the US players did not accept the jury's verdict, and they voted as a team unanimously to refuse their silver medals. And the team did not attend the medal ceremony whatsoever. And this is really interesting.
So they don't have them?
No. And their silver medals are still kept in a vault in Switzerland. Yeah. How funny is that? Well, not funny, you know what I mean? Interesting.
That's quite funny though. It's like, have you got a silver medal? Yeah, I got a silver medal. Where is it?
No, they don't acknowledge that they had a silver medal.
Oh, wow.
After the Olympics, they made another appeal. This time, really interesting. So I said the lead referee was the Brazilian, that Regetto.
Yeah.
He then came out and supported the Americans and said all these mistakes. He was actually quoted saying that the Soviet victory was completely irregular and outside the rules of the game of basketball. He criticizes Jones' insistence on him that the clock had to be reset to 3 seconds, and offered that he felt it would have been more fair to have instead resumed play with only 1 second left on the clock from halfway line.
He was the ref, so
he was the lead referee. He also asserted that the initial confusion was partially attributed to a language barrier, as he was Brazilian, spoke Portuguese, but those working the scorers table only spoke German. Supporting the US appeal,
they only spoke German, yeah?
Was the timekeeper as well.
So the fact that they only spoke German, yes, this was in Munich. This is 1972. So just to remind everyone that in 1989, the Berlin Wall came down. Prior to that, everything was West Germany. So Munich would be in class as West Germany at that point. Not East, but Germany, which would have been Berlin. and obviously Dresden, places like that. And they were very much Soviet and very, very communistic based.
Yeah.
Whereas in Munich, they were more Bavarian. They're more like an Austrian kind of thing. So still part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, but still just for that geopolitical, throw that in there. When they say that the table was German, it still was actually not say fair, but it was not just okay, just the guys from around the corner.
I gotta do it. Sorry, Mark. Snowflake warning.
Yes.
The American goes, did he call a timeout? Of course, yes he did. Do not.
Wow.
Do not question the table.
Yeah. There's.
Oh dear.
Yeah, definitely not good.
Anyway, in the ensuing years afterwards, USA Basketball has contacted the 1972 US team members on behalf of the Olympic Committee and said, would you like the opportunity to go change your stance and go and accept your medal? I don't know if would they have a ceremony, an official ceremony for that. I don't know. There was one of the players, Ed Ratliff, in 1992. So 20 years later, he turns around and says, although he did not personally want the medal, his wife felt very strongly that his accepting it and being able to show it to his children, he said that his vote would be to accept the medal. But there was
Hang on, he's just gone on record to say, my wife told me to go get it.
Yeah.
Don't do that, mate. No.
But he was casting his vote in his defense. He was saying, look, this is my wife's wishes.
I haven't got
Ratliff
a whip sound
emphasized
on
in 2012. So this is 40 years later, is it? Yeah, 40 years later that he would like to accept the medal. And it's his decision. He's now divorced and he wants his medal. He affirmed that his intention would be to accept it. The 10 remaining team members each told the magazine that they would vote to refuse acceptance. So it's got to be unanimous.
Yeah.
This guy's a bloody legend the way he says it. Kenny Davis, he went on record in 2012. Where is it? In 2012, he said, look, there's only one winner in a basketball game. And you've declared them the winner. Like we feel we won. We're not going to go and accept we lost that game.
Wow.
This is the bit, Mark. This is what this legend said. Kenny Davis reported that he'd gone so far to have a clause put in his will forbidding his wife, children, or their descendants from ever accepting the silver medal upon his death.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
He's like, look, you can have my house, but you're not accepting that silver medal.
You will never, ever get that silver medal. I mean, yeah, good for him. Good for him. If it shows how much playing for your country means to you. It shows how much playing and wanting to win. And if you're playing it all by the rules, and then the rules keep getting changed. And so what happened to this Jones dude? This guy who just has basically caused nothing but misery and chaos.
I don't know.
He just fell off the planet.
Get that. I didn't get that one. No, I didn't look into him. But
he got a great house.
I would say
in
the
St.
Soviet
Petersburg.
Union. Obviously, they got the gold. They had their medal ceremony, claimed the gold. The players went back to the Soviet Union and were absolute celebrated as heroes. Yeah. And there was very little attention drawn to the controversy over their finals win. And when they are asked about the subject, Soviet team members have indicated that they view the triumph has been achieved legitimately. Adensko, the guy who passed the ball, and Belov, who scored the winning basket.
Yeah.
In particular, they have been critical of Americans for not accepting that they lost the game. In
Do you know what? I can understand that because look, this does sound like a calamity. There's no question. It sounds like a calamity. Hey, do you want a third attempt? Yeah, please. I'd love a third go.
second, third,
Yeah.
all the violations. But Adensko, the guy who inbounded the ball, the golden pass, as they say in America, he is quoted on record as saying, I regret that others may feel that the Soviets' gold medals were undeserved, but that I harbour no such doubts myself.
At the end of the day, we're not talking about a game that was 20 points clear. We're talking about a 1-point game. And the fact is, they clearly were competitive. The whistle got changed. The things, it sounds like utter chaos has ensued. But the bottom line is, that was the play. That was the rule. That's the ruling. You play the whistle. We've all had plays where you go, why have I got called for that foul? Why is that? Why are you letting them do this?
Well, the Soviet head coach, and this is my last thing, he has acknowledged the controversy.
Yep.
That he said, because of all it diminished my enjoyment of the triumph. He's still cited the victory as the greatest accomplishment of his personal basketball career.
I think particularly that plays into the, we don't like having politics in here, but at that time in the world, it was very, very poignant. And you were in a country where you had to find your place and fight your place. And you got to think, we're talking about 1972 here, though they all went back as heroes. Literally 17 years later, that the Soviet Union started, wall came down. By 1991, it all collapsed. President Gorbachev, that's it. And then what we know as Russia today, that was it. And you had Ukraine and everything. It all split up and everything went apart.
But it still makes sense because you said that the Soviets were dominantly second place for so many years. But nowadays, you've got great teams like Serbia. In the past, you've had Croatia and stuff like that. Again, it's all part of that original Soviet Union. So it kind of makes sense.
Lithuania.
Yeah.
And all those teams, they're all those players, everyone around is all in those surrounding grounds, so to speak. And you won't say, like, even countries like Poland and so forth, you wouldn't have seen those countries, all those players would have been absorbed by someone like the Soviet Union. And I guess what's sad is that, I won't say it's sad to look at the politics or that sort of thing, but remember, I think it was not this previous Olympics, but the one before, it was like Russia got banned from a certain part of Olympics because of the nature of doping. It's
drugs and stuff.
Yeah, it's quite a wide thing, and it was across the whole team. So, it was really like bad for sporting. But that had a ripple effect across all sports. That shows how important the Olympics are, because they looked at it and went, hang on, are you a nation that does that? This is the world platform and you're going to do that. And so I think things like that sully the name of some of these players like you're talking about, because they would have been decent players. All these people on the teams winning medals, they're not rubbish players. They're not, the players themselves aren't cheating the system or anything. So it is a shame in a way that, however catastrophic the reffing and the table and all the idiots involved, the players did what they meant to do.
I think the catalyst of it is Jones coming down from the...
whoever that person is. Like, it's all down onto them, isn't it?
It's, you would like...
Maybe you've got a nice big lake house in St. Petersburg or something.
I think the Brazilian ref would probably have left 1 second on the clock and done a half-court inbound.
Yeah, playing it 3 times.
But there's so many. There's so many instances where you really feel for the Americans, because there's so many instances where you can think, yeah, you've been really hard done by there. Not just in one incident, but there's like 5 moments where you think, oh wow, if we're really looking at it, that's 5 instances where a call should have gone your way. You should have received a ball or a technical foul or whatever it is.
Especially as it's in that last less than a minute. And we've seen a lot of basketball games where you go, up until the third quarter, it's like you score, we score, blah blah blah. Then it gets to fourth quarter, bang, all hell blows loose. It's
Hey, go, Mark.
sad.
You've learned all about the 1972 Olympics basketball final,
Yeah,
won by the Soviet Union by 1 point to America.
I don't
51.
imagine. Doesn't look
50.
like they've won it since. So
Well, I tell you what, I would encourage. I think there might be a really short documentary.
there's two. I looked it up. When
If you show it to me, I'll tell you. There's one that's quite good. Doug Collins is in it quite a bit.
So there's one which was the 30 for 30 that they're talking about, which was a silver reunion, and that's the 30 for 30. You know, one of those 30.
That's
30
probably where I've heard the guys talk about untying his shoes.
Okay.
That will. I mean, look, the 30 for 30 episodes
Basketball and
are
love
amazing.
story. Basketball and love story. There's a second episode of that. He does talk about that. But there is one, they said, in Russia. As part of the Russian sport drama, Going Vertical, they actually talk about the Russian side of things. So I'm going to have to look at that.
That'll be where they talk about this light bulb coming on.
Possibly, yeah. That's possibly where it's from.
Yeah.
Look, we don't have... no one has a time machine can go back and say, oh, that light came on or off. You probably can't see it on the... Anyone who's saying, I can see it on the TV screen, doesn't understand what a TV screen would look like from 1972. Watching anything.
I think it's in black and white.
Just what I mean.
It can't be. Maybe it feels a little black and white.
It depends on... Weirdly, something popped up the other day, and it says where they embraced colour in each countries. So it's like the 70s was when, say, someone like Australia had it, whereas it was the late 50s that America had colour TV.
Well, that
Sweden
Olympic
and Norway
opening
and
that
stuff.
you showed me, that was in colour.
Yes.
So it depends on who.
A lot of them were 60s. A lot of them were around 60s.
But yeah, one of the most, it's got to be the most historical Olympic Cup final.
That's just nonsense.
Of all time. There you go, Mark. You're going to go. I'm going to definitely go watch that 30 for 30 episode. The 30 for 30 episodes are quality.
Yeah, definitely shout out to them. Watch the Dennis Rodman one as well. If you find some of those, watch the Dennis.
I've not seen that one.
Haven't you?
I think my favourite basketball ones, I really liked the Indiana Pacers versus New York. That was a brilliant one.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one? Have you seen the one with Reggie, where it's just Reggie and his sister's there in as well?
Yeah, that's that one.
That one. And it's so funny because Reggie's talking a load of stuff and like his sister's there like, I still beat you one-on-one. And you can just imagine like Reggie Miller in the basketball world, it was known for just talking and yabbering away. And then his sister's the one like, no, she beat me every single time. And she beat him up, like physically beat him up and so forth, like playing and that. And you go, damn.
Wasn't she considered one
Cheryl
of the
Miller,
greatest
she's
female players of all time?
Oh, 100%. She was
now
good.
I just think that's your big sister and that's what you're going up against.
Yeah, and you get bitten. But it's brilliant. It was just the way that they did that one because he was like, yeah, to that. And she's like, yeah, I'll still kick your butt in the driveway though. Like, it's like, oh, you're saying Jordan. And she's like, yeah, but I beat you. So how do you think I'd do? But those 30 for 30s are great.
But that
if we're
brings
doing
an end to our Olympic.
Yeah, if we're doing recommends,
Olympic bits.
One more Olympic bit, I'd say, go and check out arguably, if we're saying the best Olympic moment, you've got to talk about the Olympic dunk that Vince Carter did.
Oh, yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, but the guy's massively, if you say that.
Oh, he's like 7 foot, isn't he? 7'2"?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But it's not even that. He's so bitter about it. Like, it should have been a foul. Should have been this. He almost refuses the fact that it existed. It's hilarious. And just, he shows away from it and you go, dude, arguably one of the best dunkers of all time. He posted you, like, own it. Like, there's nothing you can do, but you can't stop him.
Wear it on your chest like armour. Then no one can use it against you.
I mean, he wore Vince's balls on his face, but I mean, like, it was, yeah. But it was just funny you said about the whole people trying to not acknowledge it. He does that as well, so there we go. But I guess so ends another edition. We're racking them up as we go through. Would you like to say any last words about the 1972 Munich Games? Did you wish you watched it?
Was I wasn't alive at the time, so I couldn't watch it. But yeah, I'd say I'd finish lots of mistakes, lots and lots of mistakes, and sometimes that what makes history great.
Arguably, yes. Listen, this has been about 142nd, 143rd episode. If you haven't gone back and listened to loads of others, we've got them all out there, and we've got loads more coming on our way. But for now, thank you for listening. I've been Mark.
I've been Paul. See you later.